When the stock of a fantastic company sells off hard after a seemingly good quarter, maybe you got to use that as a buying opportunity. Just consider the case of the stock of Adobe Systems, ADBE, the world's leading maker of digital media and marketing software that's been taking the cloud by storm for years now. If you want your business to put its best foot forward on the web, I don't know, you got to go to Adobe. Their design platform is indeed second to none. That's why the stock has been so red hot. But when Adobe reported mid-September, the share got slammed. I'm not kidding. It went from 155 down to 145, even though it was a classic beat and raise quarter. That was your moment to pounce because the weakness barely lasted a month. Mid-October, Adobe issued some very strong guidance for 2018. Stock took off. It is now up 75% for the year. This is why I'm often talking about buying the stocks of great American companies when nothing's going wrong except the sellers taking profits or mistakenly panicking out. That's your chance. Adobe stock is living proof. Earlier today, I got a chance to sit down with Shantanu Narayen. He is the bankable chairman and CEO of Adobe, an incredibly exciting company that's doing so much to democratize business around the world. Take a look. Shantanu, we're here at this unbelievable Adobe facility in San Francisco. I just saw a product that will revolutionize the way people think of things, a drawing that turns into 3D. $50 a month is what it costs for me to get that?
Well, the Creative Cloud, as you know, Jim, is all about revolutionizing creativity for all of us.
Right.
And the more power we can put in the hands of everybody who has a story to tell, the better off I think the world is in terms of design and aesthetics. And it's great to welcome you here at Adobe.
Thank you. I have to get right into it. I'm dazzled. And I keep thinking if I were a small business person, I can compete against a big business person, which, by the way, is about democracy. I mean, there's a level of economic democracy here that is far more than any government can give you.
Digital is the key touch point in terms of building a new business and disrupting existing businesses. And the more Adobe can do to enable digital to be an enabler for everybody's business, that's when we're putting the power of digital experiences in everybody. And to your point, whether it's travel and hospitality, whether it's airlines, whether it's retail, whether it's education, digital is going to transform the business.
Well, this is no longer the chief marketing officer. I mean, companies must be digitized to compete with others, and I don't know another way to be able to do it better than Adobe. I also know, can people figure it out? I mean, because it's so explosive that sometimes our own minds are the gating factor.
The trick is really going to be when somebody has this incredible creative idea, how artificial intelligence and what we are doing with Adobe Sensei can really transform it. We had our Max conference and we introduced 5 new products, but one of the things we actually showed, Jim, was that people could talk and say, find me an image that has a mountain in it, change the orientation, add color to it. And so I think everybody can speak to computers, and if we can harness that idea, then I think, we will put it in the hands of every single creator.
I'm not hearing the need to learn how to be a coder from Stanford with a degree for computer science.
We've always changed STEM to be STEAM, because the world without arts would be a very boring place. But clearly the magic that's happening is from our product people, who are the computer science geniuses, who are making this available.
Well, what's interesting to me is that you raised, at the most recent conference, you raised the total addressable market for all of the clouds. One of them went up to $83 billion, and people reacted with applause. But, I mean, could it be $1 trillion one day?
We're in rarefied atmosphere as it relates to a company that's growing our top line, growing the bottom line 30% in terms of our targets for next year, and with the operating margin that we have.
You're not a small company. You're one of the largest companies on earth, and you're growing at that level.
The 2 strategic imperatives that we have, Jim, empowering people to create and helping businesses transform, has never been more relevant. And the fact that we've combined those 2 opportunities, where digital is front and center, we're absolutely in a unique place, and we continue to innovate at a pace that I think is unparalleled.
I've noticed throughout a theme, Microsoft Azure, combination with you, makes it so that very quickly people are on the cloud. Again, that tells me that the democracies were what?
We really were early with Microsoft in saying we have a shared vision associated with, as people are moving to the cloud, how can you do everything from the infrastructure that they provide to the marketing services and creative services. We signed a partnership with them on signatures. So now our signatures are going to be embedded in Office as well as in SharePoint. And I think when two companies have a shared vision of how to put customers front and center and are executing against it, magic can happen.
Well, okay, so we've got the big holiday season. I'm a retailer. I've got to be able to convey what my goods are, and I recognize that these millennials don't want to go to the store. Can I compete with bricks and mortar just with this?
Well, we have, as you know, the Adobe Digital Index report. We just announced some really interesting statistics yesterday. We think it'll be the first $100 billion online digital season ever. We announced that mobile will actually cross the PC in terms of where all of these transactions are happening. And we actually gave a glimpse of some of the key things that are top of mind for all consumers. So if we can democratize that information, then somebody who's producing great goods always has an opportunity.
Well, a person who's in the home with ideas for a pillow, with ideas for a blanket, with ideas for a convenience, they can create it by just doing a sketch, put it online, and they may look like they're the largest department store in the world.
We're bringing the whole world together.
Right.
In terms of if somebody has a creative idea and they want to correspond or collaborate with somebody halfway around the world who can actually do the manufacturing, instead of that process going from electronic to paper to digital to paper, it can just be completely transformed. And as you know, velocity in business is perhaps the thing that everybody's aspiring towards.
Well, I know retailers, and you'll get on their conference call and they'll say, we have to cut the time from 9 months from the designer to when it's in the store because it's already out of date. I mean, is this 9 hours?
It could potentially be 9 hours. It could be potentially be 9 minutes if you're ordering it. And, I think, again, as we spoke to, democratizing the whole aspect of what is creativity for me and putting that in the hands of people and then helping those businesses transform. What is happening on the business side is when you're McDonald's, you're moving all of the screens to now be digital, so you can order online and with a mobile device. If you're MasterCard, you're completely transforming how you look at all the information that you've got. And making that power and harnessing that power with Adobe Sensei and the data that we possess, I think it's going to be a unique advantage for us.
How does Adobe help underprivileged, say, in tough school districts where they otherwise would be left behind?
Well, John and Chuck, who co-founded the company, John Warnock and Chuck Geschke, they decided to give back, Jim, well before it became, sort of popular. And we have been giving away 1% of net profits to underprivileged kids. Our belief is that today, if you grow up and you don't have access to digital literacy, it used to be reading, writing, and arithmetic when I grew up, and now it's digital. And so through Adobe Youth Voices and a project called Project 1324, we're like, how do we enable everybody in high school or in K through 12 who has a story to tell to have access to digital literacy and to be able to further their cause? It's a very meaningful story for every Adobe employee, and we're proud to be part of that.
One last thing. A lot of people think of Adobe as PDF. Remarkably, 200 billion PDFs, and they are being used in digital now.
PDF has become the lingua franca for all documentation in the world. And, the old Tower of Babel that existed, PDF has solved that problem. We have great technology with PDF. Electronic signatures allows you to automate business processes. And when you have a technology that's deep, for decades, it continues to make great progress.
Well, I got to tell you, Shantanu, you've revolutionized the world, okay? And you've also made it so poor can be equal to rich, which is an amazing thing that governments have tried for years and failed, but Adobe succeeds. That's Shantanu Narayen. He's the president and CEO of Adobe, ADBE, a stock that is absolutely one of my favorites. Stay with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.